Erika Robinson here, back with a debate day edition of In the Company of Cards. If you're new here, welcome. I'm the author of the book, The Language of Lenormand, as well as the author of the deck, which is called Erika's Lenormand of Hope. And these are the cards that I'll be using today. And I would love it if you would like and subscribe. That means a lot. We're growing, but we could grow a little faster. So please just like, share, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. All right. So before I get into everybody's question of the day, which of course is about the debate, I've looked at the debate a couple of times. This will be the last look, obviously. But there were a couple of viewer questions that I wanted to take a stab at. So, first one. Apparently, in Trump's documents case, where they're in the bathroom, the ballroom, the basement, all the B places, there are apparently documents still missing. I don't know how they know that, but that's the word on the street, that there are documents still missing. So a viewer asked the question, where were they? And they followed that question up with some speculation. Now, I've heard this speculation. It's incredibly ghoulish, but it's September. That means it's almost October. That means it's almost Halloween. So let's do a ghoulish question. So, backstory. The backstory is that we know that Ivana Trump, the first wife of 45, the mother of 3 of his 5 children, a mover and shaker in her own right, which he was not exactly a fan of, died. We know she's died. She died in a fall. Apparently, she fell down a flight of stairs in her home. I don't want this to become that kind of channel. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't want to be, the Inquirer in the Company of Cards edition. I don't want to be that. But I will say I have had my own questions about this. I'm not going to look at her passing per se, although others have, and I have my own thoughts on that. But I understand that she was cremated. Fine choice. I would choose it myself, or I have chosen it myself when the time comes. But here's what I'm not going to do. If I'm cremated, I'm not going to need a casket. Because, for what? Ivana was buried. Well, no, back it up. There was a funeral for Ivana at which there was a coffin. And the coffin was carried into the church. It was carried out of the church. It was put in a hearse. It was taken to a golf course and buried there. Whatever. What I want to look at is, is there anything of national interest in that coffin besides ashes? Like, I don't know, documents that could, in the dark of night, be exhumed and distributed God knows where to God knows whom. I just want to see what's in the coffin. Okay, so I'm going to put this down so you can watch. Oops, watch what I do. I almost knocked over my black don't crack coffee cup. That would not have been good. Okay, so I cut the deck into 3, as you know. Oops, wow, that's all right. I got lost in the shuffle. All right, and I'm going to flip cards over until I get to the coffin. Wouldn't you know, I have a deck that's got a coffin card. All right. So I'm just flipping till I get to the coffin. And this card will be imbued with the energy, to the extent that there is energy, the energy of Ivana Trump's coffin buried in a golf course, on a golf course in wherever it is, Bedminster. Okay, so that's Ivana's coffin. Putting the two cards to the left, and then I still have cards in my hand, and I'm putting those to the right. Okay, so I have the snake, I have the moon, here's the coffin, I have the anchor, and I have the key. Now, these make me curious, so what I'm going to do is move them up because my desk is small, and I'm going to pull a couple of clarifiers for each card. Okay. Again, I'm not really used to looking at questions like this, but I'm here to serve. It was a viewer question, so here we go. All right, so our line of 5 was, pulling them up so we can see them again, the snake, the moon, the coffin, the anchor, and the key. Okay. Gotta say, maybe I shouldn't have brought up Halloween because this is kind of spooky, the answer that I'm getting. First of all, the snake. I mean, are you kidding me? A snake is a problem. And that's making me think, and maybe we'll never know the answer to this, of course, but it's making me think there's more to that coffin than just ashes, that there's more in that coffin than just ashes. Also, the last line, the last card in our line of 5 is the key. So I think there are things in that coffin that probably shouldn't be there. Now, the second card after the snake is the moon. And remember that the moon is the card for reputation, image. And the card that I can mirror it with is the card that comes after the coffin, and it's the anchor. Now, remember I said an anchor can keep you safe or keep you stuck. I am wondering whether there are things in that coffin that could affect the reputation of 45. And so therefore, to keep his reputation safe and sunk, there are things in that coffin that should not be there. I'm just saying. I'm actually kind of surprised. I agreed to do this question kind of to add a little bit of macabre lightness to the day, because I know we're all stressed out about the debate tonight, but this is shady. All right, so I pulled 2 clarifiers this time for each of those original 5 cards. Remember here, our first original card is the snake, which is to say there's a problem. The clarifiers are the rider and the lily. Now the rider is about news coming in, messages coming in. Well, what's the message? I don't know. When I see lily and coffin, it makes me think of something being put to rest, something being put away, besides Ivana. Just saying. Okay. On the moon, which is 45's reputation, remember, we have the clarifiers of the older man and the fish. This older man stands for 45, because when I pull for him, If he's not the bear, he's the older man. And look at this. This is the card for money. I'm not saying that there's money in the coffin, but there could be documents in the coffin that could bring him in money if they went to the highest bidder. I don't know. Entertainment purposes only, YouTube. Okay. Here we have the coffin, and the clarifiers for that are the child and the tree. So the child is something new, something small, which makes me think something that doesn't belong in a coffin. Something is in there and it's been buried. That tree has roots. So there's something buried in there. There's something that was added extra to the coffin that was buried. Okay. Now, the fourth card in our original line was the anchor. And remember that I said that this anchor was serving to keep 45's reputation, which is the card that I can mirror it with the moon, both safe and buried. So the cards that I have to clarify it are the book and the stork. Now, what's that about? Well, the book is about things we don't know. So if things are buried, sunk, safe, we don't know about them, which makes things good for him. The stork is about positive change. Oh, I have this great idea. She just coincidentally happened to die. She's going to be cremated. That's great. So I have a big box. Let me put some stuff in the box, bury the box, and things will work out better for me. Just saying. Now, final card in our 5-card line is the key. And the key is, remember, the answer to things. It unlocks things. Well, what are the clarifiers there? We have the young woman and we have the sun. Gotta say, don't know who the young woman is, but I'm gonna say this about that. For anybody that wants to tell me that the young woman is Ivanka, I'm just gonna say, what daughter, or what son for that matter, would agree to letting their mother be buried on a golf course with no marker? I mean, I would hope my daughter wouldn't do that to me. It's making me wonder. I mean, and also, not for nothing, right? The kids knew that their mother was cremated. Well, don't you think one of those 3 kids would say, so why do we have a coffin again? And what are we burying? I think those kids know something. I do. I think they know something. And I can take this last card, the sun, I can mirror it with the first card in the line of 5, which is the snake. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and it's not that far of a limb because all the cards indicate it. Again, entertainment purposes only, that there's something in that coffin that should not be. What should be are the remains of Ivana. And again, if she's cremated, you need that big box for what? And also, you bury it on your property, not even on in a cemetery on your property, but on your golf course. Something rotten in the state of Bedminster. I'm just saying. Okay. All right. So that's that question. You're welcome, viewer who asked that I look at that. I do think there's something up with that grave. I could look to see whether the coffin will be exhumed, but we'll wait till another time for that. I feel badly for Ivana. She didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve a lot of things she got, but that end is not what she deserved. So I wish her spirit well, and I wish her spirit rest. Okay. Another question from a viewer was on the future of the Electoral College. The question was, after this news cycle, after this election cycle, would the Electoral College be abolished? Because I'm just saying, it is not anybody's friend who believes in free and fair elections. An Electoral College? Come on. Whatever happened to one person, one vote? But anyway, what is the future, we're going to ask, of the Electoral College? Now, for that, we'll call it an institution, the institution of the Electoral College. And so let's use the tower, because that would be for institutions. So that's the card I'm going to be looking for. The Electoral College. And I'm just going to look at the future of the Electoral College. All right, so I'm putting that down there so you can see. And I'm going to cut to 3. Okay. Making sure it's not on the bottom, and it's not. Future of the Electoral College after this election cycle. Okay, so this stands for the Electoral College. These are the cards that go to the left of it. These cards go to the right. Okay. So we have the book, we have the lily, we have the tower, we have the child, and we have the dog. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull just a couple of clarifiers on the last 2 cards, the child and the dog. Okay. All right. So the book tells me that right now, nobody knows what to do about this Electoral College. It exists, it is, and it kind of just skews things. The lily, there is a lot of discussion and dissension around whether we should have an Electoral College. And there are a lot of people that would like this question settled, just some peace around this, and have it be settled in an amicable way. All right. The tower's in the middle, and that stands for the Electoral College itself. Now, what interested me the most, of course, were these last 2 cards. The child indicates that there will be something new going on with the way we do elections relative to the Electoral College. And then we have the dog. And here, this is the card for attorneys, because that will have to be hashed out, right, by attorneys. It won't be sort of an up or down vote in the House and Senate. Things have to be hashed out in a lawyerly way first. Okay. Now, so I decided to pull clarifiers on those last 2 cards. So here's our child, and our clarifiers are the snake, the heart, and the bouquet. The Electoral College has been used for nefarious ends. I mean, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Just saying. How do I know it's nefarious? Because what's that snake doing in there? We've got this something new card, and then we've got, oh, very nice, a heart and a bouquet. These are very nice cards, right? But what's that snake doing in there? It's telling me that the Electoral College as it stands, again, has served nefarious ends. It's helped somebody's cause. I'm going to argue it's not our cause, but it has helped somebody's cause. something not above board here. Okay. Uh, and then I pulled 3 clarifiers on the dog. And remember, I think this is, the lawyer sort of hashing out, okay, well, if we don't have the Electoral College, what's going to go in instead? Can we do one person, one vote? How do we make sense of the fact that some states are more populated than other states? Whatever. Okay. So the clarifiers are the crossroads, the stork, and the ship. Okay. Crossroads. We have to do things a different way. This is about alternatives, choices. So I like that card. Also, I love seeing the stork because the stork says, whichever way we go, these will be positive changes. That the public at large will say, yeah, that's a much better way to do things. And here's the ship saying, yeah, so things will move forward. So I can mirror the first card, the very first card in the line here with the book, which is the book, with the ship. We don't know how this thing's going to be worked out yet, but it will be worked out in the next election cycle. I didn't actually expect to see that. I thought that it would, people would drag their feet and it would take longer, but I don't think so. I think things will move forward and the Electoral College will be no more in the next election cycle. So you can check my work in 5 years. Okay. All right. So I'm just putting those cards back. This is how I shuffle them back into the deck. See? Okay. Just going to do the rest of them. And then another question that I would like to look at, but it actually was a viewer question as well, has to do with something that Marianne from, let me see, what is her? There's an astrologer that I really like. And let me see if I can find her YouTube. It's Revealing Light, right? Is that right? Revealing Light. So her name's Marianne. She's Australian. Oh my God, she's really good. Um, and she calls mainstream media. She has a very interesting name for it, mainstream media. What do we mean by mainstream media? I don't know, the New York Times, the Washington Post, mainstream media, the networks, cable included. She calls those legacy media. And she consumes a lot of media. That's how she knows so much about American politics and American culture. But she steers clear of legacy media partially for one of the reasons that we're going to talk about today in the next question. She calls them legacy media because these are the tried and true news sources, right, that people go to and trust. But she also uses legacy media a little bit as a pejorative because, as you know, media can slant our attention one way or another. It's not like in the olden days. When I was growing up, let me just say, I'm old enough to remember there were 3 news sources on TV, right? You had ABC, NBC, and CBS. That was it. And the news was given to you. I mean, you could turn on any of those channels and essentially get the same information because there was no slant. It was just news. Well, now it's obviously not like that. And we are all of us in our own information silos, right? We go to sources for information that essentially tell us things from our point of view, what we want to hear. That's part of why there's all of this division in the country is we're all not listening to the same news sources. Same for print journalism, by the way. So the question that the viewer asked me was about this new phenomenon. Well, it's not that new. This phenomenon, certainly operative for the past 9, 10 years, ever since the golden escalator moment, is something called, it's only now been coined, this term, sane washing. Now, we all know what whitewashing is, right? Whitewashing is, let's say there's something and, it's not that great. So you dress it up, you put lipstick on the pig, and it looks better or it's more palatable. Okay. Sane washing is kind of like that. I am not telling anybody anything they don't know when I say that 45 opens his mouth and chaos ensues because his mind is chaotic. And how do we know? Because of the things that come out of his mouth. If he's supposed to be giving a policy speech on his economic plan, and he tells us that Hannibal Lecter is going to have us for dinner, what are you talking about? You know, sharks and electric boats and windmills that kill birds and ugh. The poor thing. I mean, his mind is addled. So what's that got to do with anything? Well, you know, as human beings, we like order. We like things to make sense. To a fault, by the way. For example, we like to put people in boxes. How do I know? Okay, so I'm Black, right? All my life, I've had to field this question. No, but what are you really? Like, what's your background? What are you really? Because this is questions that I would get from white people all the time. Because I look a certain way that doesn't fit the box of what they think somebody Black should look like, right? It's a human tendency. We want to make sense of things. I get it. Okay. Sane washing is where you take something that 45 has said, which is obviously bonkers, and you rephrase it so that it makes sense. Instead of saying, this is what he said, it makes no sense, and we would be tilting at windmills if we tried to make sense of it. But instead, so for example, he was asked about childcare. And he went around Robin Hood's barn talking about everything but childcare. Occasionally, he would circle back and mention the words childcare, but we never actually heard his childcare policy. But instead of the media reporting that, what the media sane washed his verbal diarrhea and said, well, what he was saying is tariffs, which he doesn't understand, by the way, tariffs tariffs that foreign governments would pay to have products imported into the United States, tariffs would pay for everything. That childcare, in the grand scheme of all the money that we would be taking in from tariffs, would be just a drop in the bucket. So of course we could pay for childcare. We could pay for your kids' braces. Hell, we'll pay for them to go to college. We could pay for we'll pay for your new wardrobe. We'll pay for your, I don't know, Bedminster vacation. We'll pay for everything because the tariffs are going to pay for it all, including childcare. Okay, that's sane washing. It's not what he said. First of all, he doesn't understand how tariffs work. For those of you who are of his camp, why are you here? But here, I'll do you a solid by explaining to you how tariffs work. So, yes, we can tax foreign governments for everything that they export from their countries to our country. What do you think's going to happen when that happens? So let's say we're going to put a tariff on China for, I don't know, for this candle. So where this candle might have cost $5, we're going to say, yeah, but China, you're going to pay $25 in order to get that candle into the United States market. Well, do you know what China's going to do? They're going to say, fine. You know how that candle cost $5? We're going to charge your consumer $50. So yeah, we'll pay your tariff and we'll have plenty of money left over. And guess what? The consumer is on the hook for that $45. If they want that candle, they have to pay $50. That's how it works. So essentially, all the goods being imported, we would be paying the tariff. It's raising of the taxes. He doesn't understand it, or maybe he does understand it and he thinks we're stupid. Well, some of us kind of are. So sane-washing is the media, instead of saying, look, he doesn't understand how tariffs work, but let's leave that to the side. For the moment, what is his policy on childcare? He has none, but they don't say that. Instead, they try to make sense out of nonsense. Okay. So my question is, why are they doing this? Why are they trying to make sense out of nonsense? Why are they sane-washing what he says? Because seems to me it's an unearned, I don't know, what's the sports term? Well, it's not an unforced error, it's the opposite. It's kind of an unearned benefit that he gets. I mean, are they going to sane wash what Harris says? Oh, wait, they don't have to sane wash it because it comes out of her mouth sane. Okay, I want to know, what is the legacy media's intention in sane washing 45's gobbledygook? Now, I'm going to use the tower, and the tower will stand for legacy media. You see how you can imbue a card with different energy depending on the question? So we're going to go look again for the tower, but this time it's the legacy media. And we're asking, why are they sane washing the nonsense coming out of 45's mouth? Okay, so here we go. It's not on the bot. Well, no, wait, let me cut the deck. Okay. And now I'm going to just flip until I get to that tower. Why is this legacy media sane washing 45's verbal nonsense? Okay, so here's our tower. These are the two cards come before, and the two cards that come after. Okay. And I don't think that I'm going to draw clarifiers, but again, we have the bouquet, we have clouds, there's our tower, we have the fish, and we have the anchor. So what does that mean? Bouquet. The bouquet is, it's a lot of things, but in this case, it's beautification, right? You're not old enough to know this. Well, maybe some of you are, but Lady Bird Johnson, the wife of Lyndon Baines, well, her big claim to fame was that she did the planting of wildflowers all along all of our highways. She was all about the beautification of America. Okay. This is the legacy media trying to beautify, make sense of, make prettier than it is nonsense. 45's cloudy thinking, cloudy speech, obfuscation, right? They're trying to pretty it up. Okay. In the middle, we have the legacy media. And remember, I asked the question, why? Fish and anchor. Well, hate to be cynical, but I mean, it's not me, it's the cards. Fish is about money. There is some financial gain to doing this. Now, I mean, of course there is. If you turn the TV on and everything that was happening was in a language that you couldn't understand, didn't mean anything to you, would you stay on that station or would you turn the channel? You would turn the channel. So in order to keep viewers keep viewers anchored to them, viewers and readers, because it's also the written press. You want to keep them because they're revenue. So the reason why they're doing this is all about dollars and cents. I think this is quite instructive because the antidote to this seems to be if they think that beautifying obfuscation is a good thing, a revenue earner, well, we are the public, right? We're the ones who have the money. We're the ones who have the TVs. We're the ones who have the remotes to change the channel or turn the news off and look for alternative sources that say, yeah, whatever came out of his mouth, it was not this. We can do that. We can change where we get our news from. So that's the antidote. Again, the answer to the question, why is the news media sane-washing the nonsense coming from 45? Because it helps their bottom line. Well, we can change that. All right, I'm putting these cards back, and then we move to the question of the hour on everyone's mind. Again, I've read on this a lot, because it's on everybody's mind, and it has to do with the debate. Now, there's been sort of a lowering of expectations, and I think that that's fair. I don't think that, and I've said this before when I've looked at it before, I don't think anyone who has been unswayed as of yet will be swayed by whatever goes on tonight in the debate between Harris and 45. I mean, that would be great, but I'm not sure that debates actually in the end move the needle. I mean, sometimes they do. We saw the last debate caused the exit of a candidate, right? So I want to know how this debate will go tonight. And I don't think I want to look at it from each of their perspectives because I did that before, if you recall. I just want to know, is it going to be a food fight? Is it going to be sane? I mean, it's going to be 50% sane. We all know what that means. I think it's very hard to have a conversation with someone, again, who's not speaking the same language as you. If you've got policy positions and you're talking to someone or you're debating someone who has different policy positions, sane people can disagree and have sane conversations about their differing points of view. But when somebody is talking apples and somebody else is talking rocks, how do you have a conversation? And my hope is that Harris doesn't get flustered by his nonsense. Everybody's saying, well, she'll be fine because she was a prosecutor. Well, remember that in a courtroom, there are rules of decorum. That's really not the case the way we do debates nowadays. Moderators have decided that they're not going to be moderators. They're just going to ask the questions. They're not going to fact check anybody, and they're just there to ask the questions. So if it's like a courtroom. If you don't have a judge and you don't have a bailiff to sort of corral obstreperous participants, how does civility be the order of the day? I don't know. So this time I'm going to use birds as our significator, our focus card, because birds is about conversations. And this will be sort of, I guess, a conversation. Okay, so how will the debate go tonight? This is my last word on that subject. Okay, it's not at the bottom, so I have to look one by one. Up, birds popped right up. Okay, so there's our birds. I'm taking the two cards that come before it, putting them here. And the two cards that come after and putting them here. Wow. We have the tree, we have the crossroads, we have the birds, we have the ring, and we have the coffin. Okay, let's see what that's about. I'm going to pull clarifiers on the ring and also 3 clarifiers on the coffin. Okay. So again, our line of 5 is the tree, the crossroads. This is our card for the debate, birds, the ring, and the coffin. Okay. So first of all, it's 90 minutes long. I'm telling you right now, this is not going to be one of those edge of your seats popcorn events. It's going to feel interminable. And I say that because the tree is a very slow card. This could be a long 90 minutes. Yeah. Now, crossroads. You know, an interviewing trick, if you're being interviewed, is, the interviewer will ask you a question, and let's say you don't like it. Well, don't answer it. Answer the question that you would like for them to have answered. Asked you. You know what I mean? 45 does that. In fact, I'm just going to say all politicians do that. You're like, well, wait, as an audience member, you're like, well, they didn't ask you that. Why are you answering that? But 45 takes it to a whole nother level. I would say it's an art form for him, but no. He'll be all over the place. He'll be asked X and he'll talk about Y, right? Kind of like childcare. What are you going to do for childcare to ensure that we have it? We're going to have so much money, we're not going to know what to do with it. Okay, so he's going to be all over the place. Okay, center card remembers the debate. Now the ring. This just feels, sometimes I love the ring, but I don't love it here. It just feels like the conversation will be circular, circular, circular. Like they may, the interviewer may ask him a question, not get an answer, because, and then ask him again, and then not get an answer again, and then ask him again, and then not get an answer again. It feels very circular to me. And for Harris, again, how do you have a sane dialogue with somebody who's insane? So that I don't know that she will be able to get her points across because everybody will be so busy paying attention to the clown show. And then to end with the coffin, this card's getting a lot of press today here. It just feels like what I said initially, which is it's going to feel long and it's not going to move the needle. This is very static energy. It's not going to move the needle. It's not going to convince anyone who's unconvinced one way or the other. The people that still like 45 are going to still like 45. The people that are for Harris are still going to be for Harris. It's not going to move the needle. But I just wanted to check, so I decided to pull clarifiers. So I pulled clarifiers on the key. And we have the heart the child, and the dog. Um, again, people who love their candidate are going to continue to love their candidate. So there's that. I think that 45 will come off immature, because he is. Childish, not childlike, childish. And that Harris will come off like the litigator that she is. This is the card for the litigator, the lawyer. So you see what I'm saying? It's like a conversation between an apple and a rock. They're different species. They can't talk to each other. But he'll come off as exactly who he is, and she will come across the way she is. Now, I also drew clarifiers on the coffin. And the clarifiers are the fox, the letter, and the mountain. Okay, the fox. This is the card for expertise. Each of these candidates has an expertise. 45's expertise is in obfuscation, avoiding the question, talking about nonsense, getting people's heads all twisted up. And Harris's expertise, again, is as a sane litigator. So each person will have their talents showcased. These are votes. The needle will not be moved one way or the other. The mountain is a block. So just consider this as, I don't know, background noise while you cook dinner. I don't know. I'll be knitting probably while I watch. The vote count will not be changed. Undecideds will not become suddenly decided as a result of this debate. And then the two cards I can mirror finally are the very first one in the line, which is the tree, which is that slow card. This will be some of the longest 90 minutes of your life. And then the stuck energy of the mountain. So, yeah, this will not be edge of your seat TV, I don't think. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I would love it if you would subscribe. I would love it if you would like the video. I would love it if you would continue to leave me questions that I can look at. Thank you so much for all of your kind words about my channel. I had a birthday at the end of July, and so it was kind of a spur of the moment decision to do this channel, but it's been a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying having these conversations with you and reading your questions and looking at them for you and showing you what Lenormand can do at the same time. So please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. Take care and good luck tonight. Bye-bye.